The idea, insight, or secret you need for massive impact is just moments away. It's time to claim your career crown. The podcast where business owners and entrepreneurs share the keys to the kingdom to help you open the vault to your greater success. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, the Joyful Sales Queen, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Bill Cohen, and we're going to be talking about taking care as a caregiver. And this is how a memory cafe can help. Now, I happen to know firsthand, caring for aging parents is a noble, if I say so myself, and taxing job. Finding support as a caregiver is both vital for your health and your parents' long-term outcomes. And memory cafes may be just the community you need. And I'd love to invite you to subscribe to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast, because if you get a lot of value, it costs nothing to subscribe. We'd love to have you. So Bill, let's get the name right there. Bill Cohen's loving and talented mother, Sheila, she lost her home to Hurricane Katrina. Then she lost her health, ability to create beautiful art, and ultimately her life due to Alzheimer's. Now, while that is very sad, I also want to point out that with that, for almost 10 years, Bill was her primary caregiver and advocate, not just her son. He turned his personal loss into his passion, supporting other caregivers across North America. After retiring from state employment just a short 8 years ago, Bill is a caregiver support group and memory cafe leader, a podcast guest, a speaker, a trained elder mediator, let me get this right, and a caregiving support consultant. He has completed several caregiving courses through the Alzheimer's Association and the Society for Certified Seniors Advisors. That is CSA, registered trademark. Woo-hoo. And he's earned business degrees from Boston and Portland State Universities. You have been a busy man. So Bill is a native New Englander, lives in Portland, Oregon area with his wife and longtime supporter, Lori. So Bill, I'm so glad to have you here. I'm going to try to get it right the whole show. So Bill, welcome to the show.
You're doing great. Don't worry about it. Thanks for having me today, Lynn. It's an honor. Looking forward.
Well,
It's going to be a fun
I'm excited I'm excited to have this conversation because I also take care of my mother, although she's still in overall really good health.
Good.
All of her memory, I mean, all those things are doing well. But there's still, the things that go along. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience, more than what I shared in the bio, about being the caregiver for your mother and how that really transitioned your life.
Yep. Delighted to do so. So, if you would ask me a little over 20 years ago what was going to happen with my late mother and my journey with her, and I'd be doing what I do today and speaking with you as we are, I'd say, you're crazy. You couldn't make this up. So an abbreviated version, of course, she was living in Biloxi, Mississippi. Like I said, I'm a native New Englander. I'm not from down there. But she was showing some disturbing signs. She wasn't taking care of the house. She wasn't taking care of the finances, forgetting things, a little paranoia, agitation. She was in the caregiver role herself for my late stepfather. And we were wondering, okay, besides taking her to a doctor and see what's going on, we weren't sure yet. Maybe she was just getting older, or she was tired, or she was exhausted, stressed out. But if my stepfather passed away or went into a care community, would she bounce back?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we didn't get that opportunity because, as you alluded to, what happened 20 years ago this week on the Gulf Coast in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina, devastating, horrible storm. The home they had lived in for almost 30 years was completely swept away in the storm surge.
Wow.
which is just, it was mind-boggling. Just the trauma of seeing her home gone, fully expecting to come back to it, exacerbated, accelerated her condition,
Yeah.
which we found out later was Alzheimer's. She did go, evacuate with other stepfamily and my stepfather to North Carolina, with other family for a couple of years on the East Coast. I started doing the long distance caregiving and cross country travel while holding down my full time job with the government. All right. I did start attending a support group. I did see a counselor, did a lot of things. I even started talking to the care community she ultimately ended up at. And that's exactly what happened, is that a couple years later, I moved her out to Portland. And as I like to say, and we can talk about this, long distance or in-town caregiving, they're not harder or easier. They're just different. It's a different emphasis, a different stress. And anytime the phone rings, wherever you are, it's stressful because you say, oh God, has something happened?
Yeah.
So moved her out to a wonderful care community in Southwest Portland. She was, as expected, less than a year in assisted living, but then she ended up in memory care for about 4 years. By the way, she was first showing signs at about 72, 73 years of age, and she passed away at the age 83 in 2013. So I kept going to that support group for a while.
Yeah.
There's some other issues that I could bring up as we talk, which I think are important, like stress and self-care and things like that. So I kept going to the support group. It was with the Alzheimer's Association. And I thought, okay, I'll go for a while and be like some others, help others through the journey like others helped me. And then I'll just go on my merry way at some point. I became the facilitator, not what I was expecting. And I started doing the walk-in to Alzheimer's. I was doing the advocacy of the Capitol for fundraising, that type of thing. And as I was approaching that retirement a little over 8 years ago, now about 9 years ago, I was thinking, oh, I'll just do more volunteer work. But I came across this concept of a caregiving support consultant, and voila, that's where I ended up. And as you mentioned, I say I turned it into my passion and encore career, as some people will use. So, yeah, what I was doing with the state, it was good for the retirement, good for my income, benefits. It was not gratifying. This is personal.
Yeah, absolutely. I can feel that. So, what kind of support do you see caregivers needing?
A lot. Here's the first problem. Too often, and you might be able to relate a story or two on this basis, they try to do it themselves all at once and without asking for help. And that's a recipe for burnout or getting sick or worse. And it's very important that you don't just look with your immediate family. Talk to friends, talk to neighbors, talk to ex-coworkers, religious organizations, fraternal organizations, what have you. There are a lot of different ways you can gain support, and most people want to help. They just don't know how to ask, or they don't know what you need.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you seek those out. And one thing I tell people, make a list. Here's all the things you do. And I know you can relate to this because I could. I may not have been doing much of the hands-on caregiving. I wasn't going to be bathing my mother. She would have nothing to do with it, or toileting unless it was an emergency.
Right.
But look at all the things you have to do. You are the nurse. You are the financial person. You are the cook, the launderer, the banker, everything. Make a list of all those different tasks and all the different errands you have to do. And sometimes it's just a matter of asking, hey, can you pick up our laundry, the dry cleaning? Hey, do you have somebody in your family who can mow our lawn? People will want to help. I'll tell you a quick funny story. It's related, sort of. The last couple of weeks while Mom was alive and she was on hospice, unfortunately, there was a norovirus quarantine. And so my aunt, who had moved out from the East Coast to help take care of her, and I were the only ones besides the staff and the residents to go inside because they knew my mother was getting close.
Yeah.
Now, the care was exceptional. The coffee was institutional. And, you know, here we are in the Pacific Northwest. We love good coffee, right? It's funny, I was just at that famous chain in Canada this week, and I said, okay, I see why it's not considered very that good. I mean, it's popular. I'm not going to say any names, but it's not like our great cafes here in the Northwest. So I get on Facebook, and I say, can somebody please bring me a mocha? Two different friends showed up from two different stands at the front desk at the care facility. And I am forever grateful for that. They just needed to know, what do you need? And they were happy to do it. So take it from there. That's a big one of the big tips.
Yeah, it is. I think that's really important. I
Mm-hmm.
know that if I'm going to be gone, because I still work full time, right? And then I want to make sure that I've got some people who will check in on my mom and just come over and talk to her. Because, it's not just doing taking care of the house, the finances, the cooking, the grocery shopping, all the errands, but it's also you're the companion, right?
And
And
safety.
so,
Safety.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, well, you know, so I certainly have really recognized this, but for those people listening, and maybe they're not in this place yet, but what kind of challenges do caregivers face when they are seeking support, when they're trying to get some help?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, besides just asking for it, one,
Yeah, you got to ask.
right? Now, I'm going to give you the other extreme, though. Here's an obstacle. Too often, you have people say, I'm too busy, I can't help, I'm too far away, I've got my own, I can't deal with it, all kinds of things. But a lot of times, they will say, I don't know, well, let's just put it this way. What you can say is they don't have to do the hands-on caregiving. If they can give you an hour or two of time or a weekend, just to give you that respite, that break, it's very, very, very important. And sometimes it's just a matter of asking, like I said. So what happens too often, though, is people give unsolicited advice without helping out. And so what I suggest is say, can you help me with this? And, especially when they're doing something that's not in the best interest. And I say, why don't you take that on? And they're either going to shut up, which would be a win, or or they're going to do it, which is also a win,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
So
good
it's very
response.
important because the other thing is if it's unsolicited advice that is not helpful, it is
Yeah.
not in your loved one's best interest. You can, and I did this. I didn't have to do it with my family. They always had my mom's best interest at heart. They knew my name was on the power of attorney too. I had the final say. I would listen to them and then tell them what my final decision was. But many people, they're not doing in their best interest. So I will say that you can, I'll take it into consideration. You listen and then ignore it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean,
have to, go ahead because
yeah.
you're the person who's in charge. You're the caregiver, you're the power of attorney, you're the one with advance directive and all those things, and you have the final say. But if people don't have your and their best interest at heart, you're perfectly
Yeah.
legitimate to
Uh,
do so, warranted.
right. And some advice is just not appropriate or doesn't fit the situation, etc. But that's a really good response. And, to show grace, let them talk,
Mm-hmm.
feel that they've been heard,
Mm-hmm.
and then do what you know or feel is the best
Right.
path.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So,
sometimes it goes to an extreme, and they
yeah.
challenge your legal right, and they will take you to court and things like that. That's
Whew.
unfortunate, and unfortunately, that's why I became an elder mediator, as well as a
Ah,
caregiving support consultant. Because some families, and a friend of ours in E-Women came up with this idea for me. Some families can't decide on ordering pizza,
yeah.
let alone
Well,
how
yeah.
to take care of your loved one. And
Absolutely.
so I help people come to an agreement that everybody can live in. live with
Yeah.
it because they're at an impasse and they can't decide.
Yeah. No,
Mm-hmm.
that is really important. So, I know that you mentioned this, and of course, we're highlighting all the great coffee in the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that that was my experience just recently at a conference, and it was like, I just want a good cup of coffee. So it was like, where's the closest Starbucks? But what is a memory cafe, and what's unique about the support memory cafes provide
Mm-hmm.
for caregivers?
Mm-hmm. So let's take a step back first. Support groups. Like I said, I have attended it. And then I became the facilitator. I have another one that I do each week. So I either have been attending or facilitating for 20 years. Highly important because it's supportive. You get help. You hear from people on all aspects of the journey, and you get great advice from people who are either going through it or have been there. But that's just for the caregiver, right?
Yeah.
So some of my attendees would say, my loved one says to me, and this is usually husbands, "Are you talking about me? And why can't I come?" And they said, "Is there something for both of us?" I said, "Well, there is a concept called a memory cafe, which could be for both, and we can give it a try." So what it is that in different memory cafes do it differently. Some will do the same format each time, some socializing, snacks, music, dancing, that type of thing. Ours, we do something different every week, or every month, I should say. It can be memory games, it could be art therapy, music therapy, bingo. We go for a walk in a wildlife refuge. We play games like, have you ever done this, like flown in a seaplane? And you
Yeah.
say yes or no. Okay, tell us about when you did that. And
Yeah.
it brings up a lot of reminiscing, etc. Or some things with some strange facts where it's completely bizarre, like how many miles is it from Earth to Saturn? I mean, who's going to know that off the top of their head? And
Yeah.
whoever gets
I'll be
close,
grabbing Google.
right? No phones allowed. No phones allowed. So it's more fun and it brings up a lot of good discussion, and people really enjoy it. And this is for both the caregiver and the person they are caring for. The real bonus is, besides everybody enjoys it, is that even if and it's for people with early stage or mild cognitive impairment,
Right.
MCI, because even they, as they're advancing, they're using not recent memory, but long term memory.
Right.
And they will answer questions that, wow, that's amazing. And their spouse or their care partner will say, that's my old father or husband or wife or what have you. They remembered that. And they're telling a story from 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? So it's a win-win for all concerned. And we hear a lot of fantastic stories. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great.
Mhm.
So, I mean, with that, what inspired you to become a memory cafe leader? I mean, it sounds wonderful. And I mean, really, what's that, you know, as you've built that out, how does your story tie into it?
I guess because I wish I had not been able to do that with my mom. I think it
Yeah.
would have been great. I think one of the good things that worked for her was an adult day program, like adult daycare,
Yeah.
because she was with other people roughly on her level, doing all kinds of activities and memory and music and things like that. And she just loved it. They had, the place where she was at had a wonderful director. She just retired recently. And, that's what she always did. I actually wish after she moved over to memory care, I thought she wouldn't be able to do it anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
let's give it a try. Let's bring her over there. And she still responded very well. And they always had her favorite, peanut butter and jelly. So I think it's that. And going back to that story about it's for both of them, and it's very gratifying to see them interacting among each other, not just the couple,
Yeah.
the family members, but with everybody else. Right. So there's
Yeah.
one guy that comes regularly. He's probably early stage, and he does a lot of repetitive stuff, like wants to keep selling the same story or sing the same song, but he does it very well. He's got a good
Yeah.
voice. So we don't,
Yeah.
we say, okay, let's do it at the end. if you don't mind. And then we get back to them and then, make that the final thing before we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that with my mom, who's 83. She'll be, no, wait, I'm not, she's 87. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get the number right. And she's about to be 88, that she won't remember things. And she'll say, well, you never told me that. And so one of the things that I've done because of my schedule with work and I do have travel is I have a little whiteboard
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a little standing picture frame.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I have a schedule on there
Mm-hmm.
so that she has a schedule of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got a schedule for every week. And then if it's something more like I'm actually doing travel, then she has all the information.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of helps address that, well, you didn't tell me this,
Mm-hmm.
which is like,
Does,
well, no,
does
I
she?
did. I did. I told you several times,
Yeah.
but that's
Does she
okay.
read it? Does she read the board?
Yeah, yeah. And she's still an avid reader. She's,
Mm-hmm.
she uh, does genealogy, so she does that as well. So she's doing things. She loves puzzles. So
Mm-hmm.
these are all things that keep your mind really active.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is great. Uh, but she's, over the years, there has become more and more that level of dependence.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't, I actually now will go through her mail before I give her mail. Because like you, I have the power of attorney and all that, but it's just that I don't want to get her knickers in a twist. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get her upset when it's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I had one night she was enraged over something and that had come in the mail and it was just junk mail,
Mm-hmm.
and it, threatening this and that like because they want money, and it was like using scare tactics type of thing. And so now it's just like, I don't need this at 10 o'clock at night for her to be in this passion and to be this worked up about something that was a piece of junk mail.
Well,
But
that gets into one of my tips is that, and a lot of people talk about white lies, therapeutic lies, things like that. What I would suggest is not showing them everything, only what she needs to know or what she needs to
yeah,
see or to validate or to make her feel more at ease that, oh, everything's fine. I have enough money in the bank, that type of thing. Or, oh, so-and-so wrote me a letter. That's nice. And I have the term compassionate deception. You don't tell the whole story. You just withhold some facts. And you're not really lying.
yeah,
And you're doing what's in their best interest. And it helps you.
yeah.
So along the same lines, I'll ask you a question. If she has, say, an appointment, what besides maybe putting it on the board, how do you tell her, or when do you let her know that appointment is coming?
Oh, well, we have a little bulletin board. So anytime we have an appointment coming up, like for us, it's UW Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
We print out the appointment, and then I have the ferry schedule next to it because we have to go into Seattle, and then it's pinned up there, and it's right there so she can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has a calendar; she writes everything in
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I put it in my iCal. I take care of making the ferry reservation
Mm-hmm.
and putting the appointment in my calendar as well.
Mm-hmm.
All those things, but then she has it on a very set space, so she's very aware of it when it's coming up.
Okay.
And so she keeps track of that.
So
And she actually still manages her bank account and things like that. I have set up several of the accounts so they do automatic payment because she has forgotten payments.
yes.
And but I like that term because it's just that certain things, it's like there's no reason to give it to her to get her all worked up, about something like that. Most of her mail, it's fine, but we all know there's a whole bunch of junk mail out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Which may
and
look legitimate,
yeah, and I may as well just pitch it,
right? And
but
if you just recycle it, throw it out without her knowing it, what
that's,
harm
I
is it?
mean,
What
I'm saying
harm?
with mine, I just literally I sort it right at the at the post office box so I can just get rid of it. I don't have to take it home to
Mhm.
then take it to recycle.
Right.
It's like I don't need, so I am already pre-sorting things.
Right.
But there's all the things that for, World Wildlife Fund and national
Mhm.
parks and all that,
Right.
she can get that, and if she wants to
Mhm.
send him some money, go for it,
Mhm. Right.
But it's just that anything that's gonna, get her like that so worked up
Mhm.
that, I mean, that was really a turning point for me. I just went, "I've gotta screen the
Right.
mail."
Like the classic publisher sweepstakes,
Yeah,
clearinghouse, things like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
scams. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
what I was getting at with reading the whiteboard or the calendar is that some people, of course, they progress, they don't remember, and they get nervous if they know they have an appointment and they keep asking, when are we going? When are we going? When are we going? Or somebody's coming to visit. Oh, my nephew Johnny's coming to visit. When is he coming? When is he coming? It's better to not tell them too far in advance, maybe even that morning, make sure they're ready to go. They're bathed, they're clothed, they're toileted, they're fed, toileted again, and okay, ready to go. And we're going to go for ice cream, and then we're going for another appointment. And don't tell them what it is.
yeah,
And again, compassionate deception, but it's keeping your stress down because that is one of the
yeah,
things people say to me a lot. How do I handle those repeated questions? And here's another thing you can do. This is with my mom, real quick. Uh, when I couldn't take her to a movie anymore because she spent all the
yeah,
time going to the bathroom, she'd ask if there's any good movies out there. And I would just say, whatever movie popped into my head. Oh, Mom, Titanic, Butch Cassidy, Casablanca, you name it, because she was getting an answer. She
yeah.
didn't know any difference, wasn't causing any harm. I was keeping my sanity, and inside I'm having a little laugh at Mom's expense. So I used a little improv.
Yeah, yeah, my daughter's recommended that a few
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
but and even certain things because she'll watch TV and all this, and got her an Apple TV, but she can't figure out how to swipe,
Mm-hmm.
and so she struggles with that. And so and we have like this package with like everything on, I mean, so many channels,
Mm-hmm.
but I try to want her to get into things that are movies and things that like I have the curiosity stream and all these things that she would enjoy watching, but she doesn't want to learn how to use the Apple TV. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that um, I haven't been able to get past with her. With the iPhone, I'd bought her a new iPhone and I went back to the old one with the button.
Mm-hmm.
So because she could not figure the swiping out, she
Yeah.
just, so I know that there's always just different challenges that everyone has. But and she also doesn't want to get up to put a DVD in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, you got DirecTV, or is it whatever it is, whatever I don't know what we have.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dish. We actually have Dish. We have Dish, so that's what she uses.
Along the lines
Oh,
along the lines of movies, again, another thing I had to do was because of paranoia. You remember with the Netflix, it used to be when you got it in the mail, you'd have the
yeah,
DVD, you'd have the inside sleeve that described the movie,
right,
and then the outside mailer. She
right,
hid all three of them. So I had to find all three. So what I started doing was leave just the DVD, take the others, put in my car.
right,
When she had watched it, I brought it back. I only had to look for one thing. So
right,
my
yeah,
safety. So I
yeah,
wanted to talk real quick about, while we have time, is again going back to self-care, because that's really crucial. It's talked about a lot. I embellish that it's not just selfish, it's vital. And I think we also want to go back to what's really hard for caregivers when they don't ask for support. Here's a very disturbing statistic. For those caregivers over 70 years of age, for a person living with dementia, about two-thirds predecease the person they're caring for.
oh,
That is, that's two-thirds. That's tragic, but it's
yeah,
also preventable. Because if you do take care of yourself, go to your own doctor's appointments and go out for coffee with friends, get that break, things like that, you're taking care of yourself so that you don't burn out. That's really
right,
important. So when I was working full time for the state, and my office was about 35 miles south of home, and her care community was another 15, 20 miles north of there. And of course, always on my mind, even though I knew she was safe, I knew she was getting good care, but that stress was there. Unfortunately, in a job that I really didn't find satisfying, I had a horrible micromanager, narcissist boss.
oh no,
So You can imagine where my blood pressure
Yeah.
and stress level were. What happened after my mom passed away, that person fortunately retired due to their own poor health, and my stress level and blood pressure came down to
Oh,
perfect. But in the interim, besides the support group and getting regular exercise and watching my sleep and going to a counselor, things like that, I got massages on a regular basis. To me, that became not a luxury, but a necessity. And I feel that way today, even though I'm nowhere near that stressed
yeah.
out. It's a good thing to do for me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, Things like that. Just taking care of yourself, keeping active, getting your sleep, eating well, staying hydrated. Because hydration, if you don't stay hydrated, you can end up one looking like you or acting like you have dementia. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, I
scary.
know.
I
Yeah,
had a
it's
scare
so
of
and if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
yeah,
That's the thing. You don't want to be thirsty.
hmm.
So,
So those are
oh
very,
my
very
goodness.
important.
So, I mean, that was really like that close of what's the one thing that caregivers can do to take care of themselves, and it's what works for them.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could be, for me, it would be probably, going out to lunch by myself,
Hmm.
and
Go
just
for a
chilling,
walk.
having a
Go
really
for a
nice
walk.
lunch, or, meeting a friend for coffee, like you said. Doing something like I actually play Pokemon Go. So one of my favorite things is actually to go to our local coffee shop
Hmm.
and have a nice coffee and play Pokemon Go for 30 minutes. And I'm a
Hmm.
happy little camper. So anyway, it's whatever floats your boat, right? But
Hmm.
something that you do for yourself besides the things that you're saying, eating right, getting some exercise, the fresh air,
Hmm.
getting enough sleep. That's going
Hmm.
to definitely help you with your stress levels.
Yep.
So, Bill, is there anything you wish that I had asked you that I have not?
I think the first thing it'll go along the lines. First, what's the first things people should do? And job one, besides your loved one being safe, physically,
Right.
financially, legally, is to take care of the legal documents. Make sure you have power of attorney and the advance directive or the health representative power of attorney. And seek help and information and support from an organization like the Alzheimer's Association, because they're not just Alzheimer's, it's all types of dementia. There's actually over 100 types. And of course, north of the border is the Alzheimer's Society. So that's important. And become informed, learn. There's a lot of great information on there, resources, support groups, and other things. And they do a lot of good work. The fundraising for more research with the Walk to End Alzheimer's, which I've been doing for, I think this will be my 13th year, something like that. And that's what I highly recommend.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And Bill, thank you for sharing taking care as a caregiver, how a memory cafe can help. And I know that our listeners are going to want to know more about you and how they can connect or find out more about you.
So my website is Cohen, Cohen, as you see on the screen, caregiving support, Cohen, caregivingsupport.com, and how you can schedule with me, learn how I work, how I get paid, speaking, elder mediation, testimonials, my blog, you name it, it's there.
All right. And I just dropped that in the chat for those of you who are with us live, and it will be in the post for everyone who's listening to this once it's published as a podcast. So, Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. I mean, this is really an important topic. It may not be something that you're facing right now, but down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good information. Or it could be something that a friend or a family member is coping with.
Can I
So,
leave you with one more
yes,
statistic?
yes, you get the last word.
Thank you. Whenever I speak, whether it's in a large group or Chamber of Commerce, e-women, whatever it is, and ask how many of you know somebody who is caring for somebody with dementia, or have you? Are you in that position or your family? And usually about two-thirds, three-quarters, the people raise their hands. It's
Yeah,
affecting so many people, which is it's tragic. But it is raising awareness, which is
right.
important.
Yeah, and my mother is just elderly, right? I mean, So she has some memory loss, but it's just she has no diagnosis of anything beyond that. So I'm really fortunate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly know that my cousin is facing that. So, and there, yeah, I said you were going to get the last word, and I didn't let you have it. So, thank you again, Bill. This has been such a great conversation.
Thank you. It was a privilege.
What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear about it. It's important to share the things you love. If you loved this episode, a 5-star review really helps keep the podcast coming to you regularly. Also, if you want to get more sales strategies to grow your business, make sure you subscribe right now. If you want to get results even faster, I invite you to download my sales strategy checklist at petitetoqueen.com/checklist. This has been Lynn Whitbeck, host of Claim Your Career Crown. I'll see you next time.